conference, it's so awesome. I know from being at these events, and I know from what I've seen behind the scenes, that anyone who goes, if you go ready to learn, you will experience a transformation from day 1 to day 3. It has the best energy there, good people coming together. It was definitely not what I expected of a tax and legal conference. So it's fantastic.
Welcome back. This is David. I'm so excited to be one of the speakers at the Tax and Legal 360 conference coming up in June. And I've got Molly Claire with me, and she's going to be a speaker as well. And so I want her to share what she's going to be talking about, give a little teaser. So take it over.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the event. Mark and I are going to be on the stage together for the presentation that I'm participating in, and what we're talking about is mindset around money, around sales, and even the idea of scaling, because especially as service providers, it's so easy for people to get overwhelmed. We were just talking right before we started recording, feeling like there are so many things that we're juggling. And I think it can be very easy for people to get stuck with feeling like the only way they can build their practice is to work too much, to work harder, to be overwhelmed. And it's not the case at all. And so that was one of the things that Mark and I want to speak to, is the idea of how we think about, and therefore how we can manage how we grow a business or a practice. And then more on, money mindset and sales too. So ask me questions if you have them, and maybe I can articulate it even better.
Yeah, that's so important. I'm glad that you're speaking. I can't wait to attend your class or catch you on the recording if it conflicts. But yeah, this is really powerful. I know I get stuck in the trap of working more and just trying more, but it's not always that.
Yeah. And it's honestly not going to work, right? Because most people already feel they're at capacity with how they're using their time. And so if we have to double that in order to double income, it's not going to happen, right? And then even the other thing we're going to be speaking to, which Mark and I have had a lot of conversations around this on the back end, is helping people have a better mindset around sales, because being able to bring in new clients, it's kind of important, right? It's kind of important, and a lot of people just aren't comfortable with it. So I think we've got to move past that and make it a better experience, not only for the service provider, but for the clients, right? To have a sales experience that's actually a positive one.
Do you think most accountants think of sales as a 4-letter word, like it's a, like taboo? Like, what's your experience?
I think most people do. And, in my experience with accountants and bookkeepers and, professionals that I would say think in a more pragmatic, logical way in their business and interactions, what I found is many don't really, I know this is a huge overgeneralization, but there's not as much of a comfort level around having good connected conversations where the sales happens easily. I think a lot of people feel outside of their comfort zone. So I think that's one of the big things too, is helping to really bring in more relationship skills, which actually, so I'm speaking on this stage with Mark, and then I'm also doing a breakout room with another coach. She and I were business partners for a while. She happens to be my sister as well. She is phenomenal at what she does. And we're teaching a breakout session on client relationships, which goes hand in hand right now. We can bring people in, but then are we maintaining that relationship? And are we maintaining that relationship to the degree that we invite in referrals as well?
So when people think about relationships, sometimes they think about, oh, I'm a bestie or whatever. It's like, well, it's not, you don't have to be your best friend.
That's right.
you have to be likable and all that stuff and approachable. And then some people are like, can they get that job done, right? They might not be the most friendly, but they
Mm-hmm.
get the job done and they're going to do it on time
Mm-hmm.
and task and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So is there a balance between likable and this like getting it done? Because somebody might be really likable, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't get the job done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing, regardless of personality or the way services are delivered, the number one thing is the trust factor, right? When you and the same thing. So when for me, I coach people, right? That's my main thing, and I do, and I mentor people in their business, and when it comes to being effective with my clients and teaching my clients to be effective with their clients, the number one indicator of success is going to be the degree to which your clients trust you, right? And so you can have someone that you feel warm and fuzzy with, and they're very personable, and you trust them. And you can have someone else who's, maybe not as warm and fuzzy, but not only do they get the job done, but you trust them to be consistent and follow through. So I worked with a new tax professional this year, and um, he was. I trusted him. He followed through on what he said he was going to do. He was organized, and that goes a long way in having a good relationship. Yeah.
Absolutely. The R factor, right? The relationship factor is so important, and then
Yeah.
trustworthy and all that follows through for sure.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's true for any relationship, right? We've got to trust that we can rely on someone, especially when it comes to relying on people to help with our finances, with our taxes. Those are things we need to know that they can be relied on. So, and then
Right.
there's that factor of communicating that, right? How do you communicate well so that your clients are understanding that they can rely on you?
Yeah, and then I think about the heart or the heat of tax season when
Mm-hmm.
we're overwhelmed. There is a lot of data, and it's like, where's this, where's that, and sometimes our emotional intelligence decreases because we're tired, we're fatigued, we're hungry, we're whatever, all these things, and we're not usually our best selves. At least I'm not
Yes.
during
Yes.
tax season, and that's when I'm seeing a lot more people. And it sucks because I have to tell people I'm not my best right now, and because it's the workload and all this other stuff. In June, I'd love to do your taxes in June, but they don't want to do taxes. Nobody wants to do taxes in June, July, August. I don't know why, but it's because of that compression, that hyper compression. Everything's due, and there's all these questions, and they should have came to me back 9 months ago or 12 months ago. Why now? And
Yeah.
it's a lot of cleanup work, and it is a bit frustrating. So there's systems and stuff like that, but that relationship is key. So just wanting to filter that. Anyways, that was just what came to my mind.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, no, I mean, I'm glad you brought it up because I mean, one of the key things that goes right alongside with mindset and the way we think about things is understanding that we need to regulate our nervous system. We need to make sure because I mean, what you're saying is true, right? When we get in a state of stress, the prefrontal cortex goes offline. We're more reactive, right? We tend to go to patterns like why do people always do this, right? We go to places that are not useful. And so I think number 1, having the awareness that that happens, and number 2, knowing we're not powerless to it. There are ways that we can keep ourselves grounded and present, and in truth, that slowing down to stay grounded and present is how you're going to be the most effective at being able to get more done in a short amount of time. But we don't think that, right? We think we have too much to do to slow down, but it's the opposite is true. Yeah, great
I'm sure
point.
there's some good mantras or something to like help to keep that regulated. Slow
Yes.
down.
Yes, I have I dive really deep in that with my clients. We spend a lot of time understanding that because for most people it's the last thing that we think of. We think being grounded or, these kind of things that we do for our sense of well-being, we see those as wouldn't it be nice if it's a nice to have, but actually it has to be foundational or we're just not going to be effective. We're going to be running our entire life and not really achieving what we want.
Yeah, that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense.
Yeah.
Practice, right? It's just a lot of practice.
Practice, practice, practice. Yes.
Having a coach, yeah,
Yeah.
accountability, all that stuff. That's great. This is going to be a
Yeah.
great conference, and I'm glad that you're speaking and you're
Yes.
presenting all these mindset things because it starts with the mind, right? If it's not pre-planned, then we're going to waste time spinning our wheels and not have as much fun,
Yeah.
as well as what's the point of working so hard if we're not enjoying what we're
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. Yes.
That's great.
And this conference, it's so awesome. I spoke at the last one. It has the best energy there. Good people coming together. It was definitely not what I expected of a tax and legal conference. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, Mark Kohler does not. He's not the boring tax accountant type of guy.
Nope.
He's really expanding it. That's great.
Yes, yeah, which is just fantastic. There's such a need for it.
So, final takeaways. Excited to see you at the conference. Hopefully, people will come because they saw you here and they're like, "Yeah, I want to go to your
Yes.
workshop and see you on stage." So, any final
Yes.
thoughts?
Oh, did you say final thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. Final
Yeah,
thoughts.
I would say obviously if you're not registered yet, register and come. I mean the energy is fantastic and I know from working with Mark, I know from being at these events and I know from what I've seen behind the scenes that anyone who goes, if you go ready to learn, you will experience a transformation from day 1 to day 3. No question, absolutely. So, yeah, and come see me. If you come and say hello. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice the mingling and the lunches and breakfast, whatever dinners. It's like
Yeah.
chatting and the connection. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Great, great energy, great people there.
Well, I'm glad to interview you and meet you, and I'm excited to see you in 19 days or whatever it is.
Yes, thank you. I
Great.
know. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person as well.
If you're interested in attending, please use the coupon code DavidTuck2025 for a 10% off in person or live. Look forward to seeing you there. Blessings.